on, guys, welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. We are back for another press conference reaction, but oh my, we have a busy show for you this afternoon because, of course, this is I'm a little bit late here. First of all, you can see it on the screen right there. We've got a clip of the upcoming fan clash later on today featuring KG the Comedian and Expressions, but the real reason that I'm a little bit late is, one, the press conference did take place, I think, at 12:45, but I always like to watch it because context is king when it comes to quotes, particularly with the media being how it is nowadays. But also I'm a little bit late because I wanted to talk about Alvaro Fernandez, some Manchester United transfer news breaking in the last couple of minutes or so, just before I went live. So I wanted to check this out. I wanted to see what was going on because we had heard, I think this was about a week or so ago, it came from the Daily Mail, specifically came from Chris Wheeler, that there were growing concerns at Spanish club Granada that Manchester United defender Alvaro Fernandez would be recalled from his loan spell at the Spanish club. Now, reportedly, at the time, United were still sort of weighing up their options as to really how to manage Fernandez, who is out of contract in the summer. Not necessarily bringing him back because he was going to play games, but really bringing him back because they realised we've got like 6 months to sell this guy and we've got to try and get something for him because he's going to leave on a free right now. So this is just sort of breaking in the last couple of minutes. It starts off, I think, from the Record in Portugal. Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed it. We can get up on the screen right now. It says, Benfica are closing in on a deal to sign 2003 born fullback Alvaro Fernandez. Personal terms 100% agreed now. The contract is ready. Agreement being finalised with Manchester United on a permanent transfer as per the Record, as I mentioned, a Portuguese-based outlet. Details being discussed, and then here we go. So it would appear that the original reporting by Chris Wheeler was indeed accurate when he was saying United were considering recalling him. It looks like they're recalling him to sell him, and we don't really know much more in terms of, again, I don't know in terms of how much money is going to exchange hands. Not that much, to be honest with you, if he's out of contract in the summer, but Alvaro Fernandez is heading to Benfica. So, again, if we get any more information on this, obviously we'll discuss it in future videos, streams, transfer views, or what have you, but that is a developing story right now coming from Portugal that Alvaro Fernandez is heading to Benfica. My initial reaction to it, I mean, it's like with any player, young player that comes through the academy. I mean, he didn't come through the academy per se. We got him in, I think, 2020 from Real Madrid's academy. And there was so much excitement. Whenever you hear those stories, I just did a quick search just to make sure I had my sort of facts lined up about the story that I saw a week ago regarding him. But I then came across the stories in 2020 talking about, Alvaro Fernandez, we're getting him from Real Madrid. And everyone's going, that's going great. And that's going to be amazing. He's going to develop into a name. And unfortunately, as much as Manchester United's history is based upon players coming through the academy, and we still have that fantastic record of every match day since I can't even remember when. It's a long, long time since we haven't had an academy player in the team or in the squad, what have you. In more recent years, it's been challenging for sort of certain players to get in. And this is why sometimes those younger players, when we try and recruit them, either from domestically, people like Jude Bellingham, or younger players from abroad, sometimes it can be a bit of a difficult sell. It's crazy to say to come to United, but it can be because sometimes they're like, am I really going to get that sort of pathway into the first team? And Alvaro Fernandez is a bit of a strange one because whenever I've seen him play, is he ready for prime time right now? Is he better than Luke Shaw or Terrell Malacia? No. But the ironic thing is, in a season which we've desperately needed left backs, I mean, it could have been totally different had he have stayed. He would have definitely got game time, wouldn't he? Because we've had points of the season where, despite having 3 under contract, we haven't had anyone available to play at left back, and he would have got a shot. So, again, we don't know the details of the deal. It might be a case of a bit like with the Hannibal Mejbri loan that could turn permanent. There could be a buyback clause involved. I would hope so. I would hope we would give ourselves that opportunity. But it could be another name that slipped through our fingers, which is incredibly frustrating, very frustrating. Keegan says he's 100 times better than Terrell. I wouldn't know about that. I mean, Terrell Malacia is a quality left back. I mean, he's a backup, but we don't know how good Alvaro Fernandez can be. And what he certainly needs, and what he's right to do, is go somewhere where he's going to get game time, certainly. And look, Benfica, they're no mugs. They know talent when they see it. Look how many people they bring in, then they sell for a ton of money. sometimes even if that's not even reflective upon value. So I would hope that there would be some kind of buyback clause put in there. Again, don't know whether that's the case or not. In terms of a fee, I can't imagine it's a huge fee. Again, he doesn't have a lot left on his contract and he's still young. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. But again, when people wonder why now, when we're linked with these sort of younger players across Europe, and well, why didn't they come to United? Perfect example. Why? Because the gold dust of a youngster's football career is game time. You've got to play. You just have to play. And you have to go to a club where they're committed to giving you a chance, where they're committed to giving you an opportunity. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Alvaro Fernandez as well. But that's the latest news when it comes to him as well. We are here to talk about the press conference and the press conference reaction. Erik ten Hag been talking to the media at Carrington ahead of the match against Spurs on Sunday at Old Trafford. Some really interesting quotes coming from the Manchester United manager today, talking about a variety of different topics, talking about big returns. We could have a plethora of names about to re-emerge into first-team action as soon as this Sunday. We're talking Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Christian Eriksen, Ahmad, Antony, and more. I mean, we could potentially have like 6 or 7 players back in the first-team squad as Erik ten Hag really, I guess, looks to kick on in the second half of the season and possibly, maybe, save his job in terms of getting turning results around. So this is going to be a big one, and again, some positive news, certainly. So let's get straight into it because there was a lot of news to break down from this press conference. If you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see in the top right-hand corner there, we are on the road to 160,000. So if you haven't already, click the subscribe button, and also be sure to click the notifications as well. You want to be notified when later on that KGN Expressions fan clash face-off emerges, because it's one for the ages. And as I mentioned, we are going to have a clip shortly about from that show as well. So the first question to Erik ten Hag was about team news, of course. Peachy, Erik, any team news? Team news? Come and get some team news, some returns. Had a lot of injuries. What's going on with that? Are we going to get any players back at the weekend? And here's what ten Hag had to say. He said, quote, I don't know. What do you expect? We have had a lot of injuries. So this week in training, the last couple of days, Martinez training, Casemiro training, Luke Shaw training. So there are players returning. They are coming in for selection for Sunday. Antony, yeah. Eriksen was ill in the week. He will return. Antony will return. Ahmad will return. We have more choice in this moment in the squad to put our starting 11 and create a bench that is stronger. So that's big, big, big news right there. Some big names available to return. The likes of Eriksen, I mean, obviously he was expected because he was just ill. The Antony one was a little bit surprising because the sort of narrative surrounding him over the last week was that, again, his injury was quite bad, but he's back. But really, of course, the biggest one, Casemiro, and really the biggest, in my opinion, Lisandro Martinez. Now, just because they're back doesn't necessarily mean they're going to start. I mean, it's really the reporting regarding their fitness and their sort of return timetable has really been all over the place, hasn't it, when you think about it? I mean, was it just a week ago? I mean, was it? Yeah, I think last Thursday, whenever Ten Hag's last press conference was, I think it was last Thursday. And he was saying that, oh no, it's a couple of weeks, and we're not going to rush him back. Then I think there was a report from Samuel Luckhurst not that long ago, just a few days ago, saying possibly the Eastleigh or Newport County game, in the FA Cup. So that's towards the end of the month. That's going to be the time that Casemiro and Lisandro Martinez are possibly going to come back for. But when you think about it, when you sort of break it down, you go, realistically, sort of what's if you could get him back for one game and risk it for a game, it would probably be this one, isn't it? Because even if they're available and they're fighting fit, are they going to play against Eastleigh or Newport County? Maybe one of them, but that's not really a game sort of rush back for, what have you. And I think back to sort of the earlier reports from all of those people, and when Casemiro and Eriksen were back on the grass, when was that? That was like mid-December or something, wasn't it? Or the beginning of December, I forget. Or it might have been even a press conference during December, and they were asked about Casemiro, and he was asked about Casemiro, and he was asked about Martinez, and he always said middle of January. So even when, a couple of weeks ago it was like, well, maybe, end of the month sort of thing, you kind of always got the impression this is the game that he's hoping to get them back for. This is the game he's hoping to get them back for, and he's hoping, I guess, to make a statement by getting a big result at Old Trafford against the top 6 rival in Spurs. Do I expect them both to start? It's difficult to say because these are long-term injuries, particularly the Martinez one. The Casemiro one, how long has he been out of action for now? Is it, 3 months? Something like that? When did he go down with the injury? That was like October, November time. I'm sure someone will let me know in the chat. But certainly the Martinez one, it's been really since August, hasn't it? And as I said, I've said since then, and said even during the time when he was playing, I was like, this isn't Leach Martinez. We are not seeing the Martinez of last season. And I don't think it's because, the quality's dropped off or he's no longer any good or this, that, and the other. He just didn't look right. You could tell by watching him play. He went down a couple of times and got substituted. I think it might have been the first time he went down. I forget which game it was. Was it even the first game of the season? It might have even been the first game of the season against, was it Wolves? I think it was Wolves, that first game of the season. And did he go off at half time? Or am I making that up? He went off really early on in the season. And there was a lot of sort of murmurings about why that was. He's booked. He was on a yellow card or he wasn't playing very well, tactical. And then I think it might have been Varane who let it slip in an interview. He's going, oh yeah, his foot. And everyone went, that's weird. And then he was back for the next game, but it was like, that's something to watch out for. And then he did it again against Arsenal, where he went down, obviously got taken off, and then went on international duty and was training but not involved in the games. And it was like, what's going on here? And he was sort of walking out of the stadium. He wasn't on crutches or anything. Everyone thought, this is really odd, this is bizarre. But he still had the discomfort in his foot. And then it became apparent that there was still problems with it and he had to undergo a second surgery. So my long-winded point when it comes to Martinez is we don't want to have him ruled out any longer. And you really don't want to do any further damage. I mean, that foot's been through it, certainly, the last 9 months. So hopefully he's ready. If he's ready to start, fantastic. But you don't want to rush him back at all. Sirens in the chat, of course. If you haven't already, sirens in the chat. And if you haven't already, become a member, because the more members we get, the more emojis we can put in there, and the Owen siren will be the first emoji that is added. So yes, sirens in the chat, of course. So Martinez, I mean, if I had to put a prediction on who will start out of them, I mean, actually, let's put a poll. Let's put a poll in here. It means I've got to shut this because I've got to do more than one option. Do you know what it is as well? When you're doing a stream, if you do the chat pops out, you can't do a poll with more than 2 options. You have to put it back in to do it. It's the biggest pain. Who will start? Who will start on Sunday? Is it going to be Martinez? Is it going to be Casemiro? Is it going to be both? Or is it going to be neither? There you go. Poll is in the chat right now. You can get your votes in as to who you think or who you don't think is going to start on Sunday at Old Trafford. Do I think Ten Hag would be bold, pun intended, enough to play them both? I think he would. Because, as I said, he needs a result. Man United need a big result in a big game. And I know that you could argue that the Villa result was a big result, but a lot's happened since since then, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. A part of me feels like Martinez is going to start and maybe Casemiro will start on the bench and then he might come on. Because to have 2 long-term injuries both come straight back into the side, that feels like a bit of a risk, just purely from like a fatigue point of view. We'll see out of them. But Luke Shaw, I mean, I would think if Luke Shaw's been training and he's available for selection, I think Luke Shaw will certainly start because, of course, he had come back more recently, then dropped back out for a little while. So I think that Shaw will probably start. So then you're looking into the territory of going, okay, so what's that team really going to look like? With so many suddenly available, what does that team look like? You think Onana in goal, we know that. Shaw, if he's available, I think will start. Centre-back's a fascinating one. Recently, it's been Johnny Evans and Raphael Varane. If Martinez is back, would he go with... You'd have to... If Martinez is good enough for even 60 minutes, then you might just go with Martinez and Rafael Varane and then put Johnny Evans on later on in the game. You might. Then right back would probably be Dalot, I would think, considering he scored. Midfield, you then would think if it's just illness, I think Eriksen will start. Cobby will start. I don't think he would put Casemiro straight back into it. I think he'd go with McTominay again. Probably. And then your front three will probably be as is, which is Garnacho, Rashford and Højlund. Maybe. But look, it depends on a lot of things. But I'll leave that poll open so you can get your votes in, certainly. Afo's been a member for 6 months. Appreciate 6 months of support and just says love to the channel with the membership. Big up to you. And the love is reciprocated, certainly. Big up to you and appreciate 6 months of support as well. If you haven't already, as I mentioned, guys, click the like button and be sure to subscribe to bottom right-hand corner. What else are people saying here in the chat? Victor Von Doom says, Fernandez leaving is on Ten Hag. I'm way past done with this moron. This lad had more potential than Malacia. A few people in the chat saying that they think Fernandez is going to be better than Malacia. I mean, I would say right now, I don't think he's better than Malacia right now. In the future, we'll see. I thought he did some impressive performances in pre-season and looked good. Am I shocked? I'm not shocked. Am I shocked that a youth player that we've brought from another club and put through our system ends up leaving with not too much first team football? No, because that's not a new phenomenon at United. And you would have thought, and this is like I said, you would have thought in the season where we've been ravaged by injuries defensively, he would have got a shot, but he went out on loan instead. That's what I found very odd, because his loan signing, if I recall correctly, and it all feels like a blur this summer, but his loan signing to Granada, wasn't that really late on in the window too? And or were the injuries just after he left? Either way, it felt like maybe there could have been an option to recall him and him play, but they decided to go down the route of getting Sergio Reguilon instead. And now we don't have Reguilon. He's gone back to the club, and we're going to have Fernandez either. Minna's in the chat, says, big up everyone. Haven't caught stream all week. Hope you are doing well, the chat. And big up Minna as well. Be sure to subscribe to her channel too. Where are we at? Where are we going? So we spoke about team news, and we spoke about the people that are going to be returning as well. Of course, one question that was going to be on the lips of everyone was regarding Jadon Sancho. And Erik ten Hag was asked what his thoughts were on his move to Borussia Dortmund. It's an issue that's been asked to Erik ten Hag a lot. And the question was put to Ten Hag, what do you hope to get out of the loan? Ten Hag had the following to say on Sancho. He said, I hope he's doing well, so I wished him the best of luck. that is, I mean, it's a full stop there, but that's initially all he was going to offer up. And then the journalist said, that's it. And Ten Hag said, that's it. I hope he's doing well and he'll be a success. So it's safe to say bad blood is well and truly still there. And if Erik ten Hag is still the Manchester United manager come the summer, Jadon Sancho will not be coming back, and Jadon Sancho will not be staying. It was a fascinating morning show with KG this morning, where I couldn't really get an answer out of him, but he was leaning more towards the fact if he was the manager replacing Ten Hag, that he would probably bring Sancho back. That's what he was kind of sort of suggesting. My thing was, even if I was a new manager, I wouldn't. I think there's too much has gone on, and I just think for everyone there needs to be a fresh start. And I don't mean this facetiously at all. I really don't mean this facetiously, and I mean it genuinely. I think it's best for Jadon Sancho that he doesn't come back to United, because I just don't think it's the right environment for him as a person, as a mentality. You look at what best suited him was that environment at Borussia Dortmund, where the manager clearly paid sort of special attention to him, put an arm around him, put all of these things in place to get the best out of him, whether it's pairing him up with professional players or making sure that certain staff, allegedly woke him up and essentially dragged him to team meetings. And, sometimes those players, it's difficult. I mean, Ten Hag speaks about it later on in the press conference, to say some players, when they come to United, they just can't handle it, or they can't handle that pressure. And the thing is with Sancho too, it's not even just a this season thing. It's been his whole tenure at Manchester United as well. It hasn't worked out. Like it hasn't. And I think Dortmund is the best place for him. I think it's a really strange argument that people are trying to make when they go, well, his attitude can't be that bad if he's going back to the club where he had all of these problems, which is such a, because that's so like not reading into the situation at all. Because if you read those reports, they were suggesting that those things were an issue at Dortmund and they managed to fix them. Particularly this coach, the coach that is the coach right now at Dortmund, managed to solve those issues and get the best out of him. So this argument that, if these things were all bullshit, were true, why would they want him back? They want him back because they managed to fix those issues. They know how to get the best out of Jadon Sancho. There have been 3 managers at United. All 3 haven't known how to get the best out of him. Solskjaer, Rangnick, Ten Hag. They haven't been able to get the best out of him for whatever reason. This guy at Dortmund thinks he can, knows he can. He's got experience of working with him. So it makes sense that he would go back there. It's entirely logical. And again, I think it's good for Jadon Sancho. I think it's good for him. I hope that he has good form there because I think that increases his resale value. Then we cash it in the summer, and hopefully Ineos are wiser at spending it than the previous people at Manchester United. But I don't see a way back for him, to be honest. I know that people are still very much, it's still a divisive issue because what isn't at United? We have one every month, seemingly, whether it's Ronaldo, De Gea, Sancho, you name it. I'm missing out a ton, but there's always a Pogba. There's always this divisive issue. For me, I just think it's a situation of I'm more opposed to back the manager or the player, or the club rather, over the player than just one player. I think that it's madness that we sit here and have these conversations about, well, you need someone to come in and if they step out of line, they tell it, they say it as it is, they don't pull any punches. Then 18 months later, a manager does that and we say the manager's throwing them under the bus and bullying and this, that and the other. I think it's just crazy. Nevertheless, and that's not even like, Erik ten Hag's the right guy for Manchester United. Even if someone that wasn't doing very well, I'd still say that's the same thing because for me, that's how football works. Manager picks the team. If the manager's asked in a press conference, why didn't you pick that player? You go based on training performances, then that's it. I still when I really think about it, I don't get like the accusations of, it's just this slanderous, and they've said Ten Hag's done this and he's done that. I just don't get it. I really don't. So, and the thing is, it won't end either because, as KG said this morning, they'll have the comps. It's not even necessarily if Jadon Sancho plays well, because if Jadon Sancho goes past a player in a game, social media is going to be just full of it. But see, we do this with every player. So again, good for Jadon Sancho. He's back to a place that he's happy. And I think, it's evident, isn't it? Not just the last few months, but also last season. That, I think that's been a struggle too. So you want someone, just on a personal level, a human level, you want someone to be back where they feel comfortable, where they're happy, where they can succeed. And credit to him for that. I mean, we don't even know if Dortmund's going to be his long-term destination, really. So we'll wait and see. But that's what he was asked about Jadon Sancho, and that's really all you're going to get. He was asked a question about Sancho later on, and he said, I've said enough, really, about Jadon. So that's about it. Before we get to the next question and answer in the press conference as well, let's get to a clip. Let's get to a clip from the fan clash that's coming up. Yes, the fan clash that's coming up later on this evening. So 6 p.m., you're going to see what is being described as a mythic face-off representing Manchester United and United View. It's KG the comedian. Representing Spurs is Expressions Oozing. And this is just a clip. This is just, I think, it's like a 75-second clip of what to expect tonight, 6 p.m. Take a look.
You speak about managers, and the great one, the special one, the one that, cut from a different cloth. He came to us. He won with us, yeah? Even if you can say he didn't win great stuff, but he won with us. He did. Yeah? You heard his words about Spurs.
Yeah, because he got sacked.
No. As in, he's been sacked everywhere.
No. But the difference is he got sacked before a final.
No.
And that was injustice.
And you lot are scrubs because you should have let him win it.
You got sacked. That got to do with
No, because guess what? It's the Spurs DNA. You can't win. You're allergic to winning. You see that time when you speak about Poch? Poch was, this is where we got oozing sauce from, bro. He was oozing. You lot were playing champagne football. So right now, this is a new type of champagne, but I'm calling it Bucks Fizz because we don't even know.
You can't talk about my football. You definitely.
Go on.
You can't talk about my football yet. Bro,
is this better?
You can't talk about my football.
Is this Highline Merchant? Is this Highline?
I've seen the United view. I've seen the United view live stream, bro. You know them way there, yeah? Bro, you look like you're a hostage.
You said it's my turn.
You and Jagged Edge, fam, and the Black Street Boys. You know them way there.
Right now, is it my turn or is it not my turn, bro? Right now, I want to know what's going on, bro. We're talking about your team, bro. Are you
no, but don't talk about my football. You know where you can talk about my football. Your football stinks,
no, I'm going to talk about your football because I'm comparing you to yourselves.
You can't actually talk about my football. Bro, you can't talk about my football, yeah? Because, bro, you football,
all I'm asking you, listen.
You have won 10 games and lost 9, blood. It's 50-50 like Lamar. Red or black, fam.
Bro, let me give you this equation.
Tony might as well go to Man United.
Let me give you this equation, yeah? This is A, yeah? This is A, this is Poch. B, this is Mr. Highline. Who played the best football?
You can't say that. I'm just
saying, exactly. But I'm saying you've enjoyed football and still won nothing, bro.
So, yes, that's a little something to whet your taste buds for later on. Fan clash, fan scream at each other for, I don't even know how long the video is. I think it's like over half an hour. 6 o'clock tonight. Tune in. Make sure you click your notification bells. You'll be notified when that video does go live. It's a madness. How can you expect any difference? And hopefully it's just the beginning of KG speaking with chest when it comes to expressions. Because if we win on Sunday, I think the KG might be available for that week's Best of Enemies, possibly as well. So. Yes, be sure to tune and watch that 6 p.m. tonight. It's a lot of fun. It's a great watch. Let's go back to the press conference. And this was an interesting one because Erik ten Hag was asked about Hannibal and he just kind of spoke about something different. The question was put to Ten Hag, Hannibal, will he be going out on loan now that players are returning? Now, Ten Hag then spoke about the players returning, not so much about Hannibal, but here's what he had to say about it. He said, quote, when we have the news, we will... That's not right. He said, there you go. He said, they are returning. A step ahead when I talk about Martinez returning, Casemiro returning, for instance, but they were a long time away. Mason Mount will return, but take a little longer. Terrell Malacia will return as well. Victor Lindelof is also on the way back, but it will take some weeks and take times to get back into match fitness. He then said, when we have the news, we will tell you in regards to Hannibal. I'm not sure if the word is relief when it comes to players being back. First, it has to happen, but they are back, but it is positive. They are back on the training ground and that they go back to the team and then to 100% match fitness. So the long way round involving all of that was that... when there's any news, we'll tell you, basically. But he just decided just to speak about the players coming back because look, it's important. He's been saying enough about it. He's been saying enough about players coming back and how we'll play better when players come back. As I've said multiple times, it's not just about having players come back. It's about making sure that they stay back and the other players who are back right now don't get injured again, because this has been part of the problem for Man United this season, isn't it? It isn't necessarily... Oh, it's been certain players that have been out, but also it's been the fact that whenever we get anyone back, it feels like another player drops out with an injury or something like that almost immediately, doesn't it? So, yes, that's certainly big news. Now, this is interesting. Fleck is calling me. Let's see if he realises. Flex, you are live on your own channel.
Yes, mateys.
Yes.
How's it going?
Yeah.
How are we all buzzing that our season's going to be back?
Well,
Martinez.
Yeah.
Casemiro.
Yeah.
Sure. Come on.
Now, are you saying that facetiously or do you mean it?
Well, it's 2024. I want to be positive.
Okay.
I want to be positive. So
okay.
I'm not going to say it facetiously. I'm going to say, yeah, this is a big boost.
It is a big boost.
Go on.
No. I was going to say there's a poll in the chat, and I said to who will start on Sunday, Martinez, Casemiro, both or neither. Which would you select?
Oh, that's a good question. What about Luke Shaw and Eriksen?
I wasn't talking about them specifically. I just wouldn't.
Oh, right. So who will start? Casemiro, Martinez, or both?
But Casemiro, both, or neither?
Oh, that's a really good question because I don't know. Both would be massive. Martinez has been out for ages. I'm going to say Casemiro.
Really? So I was leaning towards... I don't think both. I think both...
Yeah.
Both been out for a while. You don't put them straight back in.
They'll probably be awful.
Yeah.
In a high energy game as well, where you got to be at it against Spurs.
Yeah. But I went more with Martinez than Casemiro. I just feel like you might be able to get away with that one a bit more. I was thinking about the options as well, because if it's not Martinez playing, then you're basically saying it's going to be Evans and Rafael Varane again. And you might be like, well, I think we can probably do Martinez for like 60 minutes, something like that, and then Evans can come on. Whereas midfield, considering, like you said, how intense that's going to be, you probably would go, oh, actually.
Yeah. They'll put Casemiro on the bench, start Mainu. If Eriksen, I think it'll be Eriksen, Mainu, Bruno, and then Casemiro come on for like Eriksen or something later on.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Because you said Eriksen's available, isn't it?
Yes, Eriksen. It was just an illness. Yeah.
I'm almost curse to the commentator and all that, but I'm almost certain Eriksen will start. But stranger things have happened. I know McTominay's been absolutely awful, but sometimes Eric does do that. Oh, this game might be a bit physical, even though that's not what Scott actually offers us.
Yeah.
But it's terrible. I don't want him to do that, but you never know. But I'll be surprised. McTominay's been way off it recently.
Yeah. I mean, he's even stopped scoring goals.
Exactly. He's offered nothing, and to be fair, when Eriksen is fit, I know like when we had everyone fit, Eriksen was taking a bit more of a backseat, but really he does trust Eriksen a lot. And in a game that's going to be very transitional, like the Villa game, where Eriksen did all right.
Yeah.
You need that person who's got a cool head on the ball, can make quick decisions and pass it properly.
Yeah.
Yes, he's going to fail, and we need runners around him
and all that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen the news regarding Alvaro Fernandez as well?
Yeah, but BENFICA, is it?
Yes. So it came from Record in Portugal, and then Romano's clarified it, saying Benfica are closing in on a deal to sign fullback Alvaro Fernandez. Personal terms 100% agreed now. The contract is ready. Agreement being finalised with Man United on a permanent transfer, as per the Record. Details being discussed, and then here we go. I think he has tweeted something else in the last couple of minutes as well. Conversations between Benfica and Man United on final details for Alvaro Fernandez deal still ongoing. It could be a different formula and no longer a permanent transfer. Talks taking place today. It remains close to being done. More to follow. Now, I was saying earlier on, what was interesting about this is Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail said last week that he was close to being recalled from Granada because he's out of contract in the summer, and United were kind of figuring out what to do with him. So I think we could be looking at a similar situation to like a Hannibal, whereby maybe he goes out on loan, that could turn permanent. I don't know if they've got an option for an extra year on his contract.
I think we would have heard about that if they would. They might even give him a new deal and then send him there on loan.
Yeah,
I hope they do. Alvaro Fernandez is a weird one. He's one that he's quite curious for us, isn't it? Like, we saw how well he done at Preston last year. Got their Young Player of the Year. On tour, he impressed any time he played. Even if he was on the losing side, he looked good. And I don't know. Like, obviously, the Shaw situation does divide opinion, even though the best version of Shaw is good. But we've always been like, we need better. Is it going to be Alvaro Fernandez? Probably not. But I don't know. I quite like him. I like the look of him. And if I would mind him on loan, like at top level. I know Championship's not that. Like a Benfica, put him on loan there for a year. But this is in January, so it might have to be to the end of the season. And I don't know. I want us to have a buyback. I wouldn't mind us having a buyback on him.
Yeah.
Put it that way. But I think he's a handy little player.
Yeah, I think he just needs games, doesn't he? That's the thing. He just needs
so we can judge how good he really might be able to be. But if we're honest, is he going to be the Man United quality? Probably not. We need better. Even Luke Shaw's had his time, and I like Luke Shaw. I'm in the camp of like, I think Luke Shaw's really calm. I think he's a good, steady, strong defender. But injuries and inconsistencies, I get it. Been here 8 years, 9 years, whatever it is. When are we waiting for this guy to arrive? I do get the arguments. I understand it. If we went out and bought a top-level left-back in the summer because we wanted to do something different than Shaw, I'm not going to be like, how could we get rid of Shaw? Like I said, so, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I'm just reading now that they're saying some reports are suggesting that his contract is up in the summer, but there is an option for a further year for United to trigger. So I think,
do a Hannibal then.
So I think it's a Hannibal situation whereby probably goes out on loan. There's probably an option, which most likely Benfica takes. Then there's a buyback clause, and United can get him back if they need to.
Or if they trigger the extension, then they can just let him go for the 6-month loan and just see how he does in Benfica.
Yeah, possibly.
And they come back in the summer, and then he's got a year left, and you either go, right, you sell him with a year left with a buyback, he's had 6 good months with Benfica, or he's had 6 good months and you loan him and give him a new deal or something like that if they really think he's good. So, yeah, there's options.
Just Josh Media's in the chat, and he says, "Is Flex running through a cornfield? Because it sounds there's a lot of popping, or are you cooking popcorn?"
No, I was eating a Twix.
But there's a lot of popping from when you talk.
Is it still now? I'm in on loudspeaker in the car as well. So
yeah, it sounds like someone. Steffi Jenks says you're sitting by a fireplace. Someone says you're roasting marshmallows over a campfire.
Oh, wow. It sounds like that. Oh, and I do, because it's absolutely freezing, when I got in my car from Sky to drive, I have got my puffer jacket on in the car. So that's probably that as well.
Nah, I don't know if it's...
Yeah. Is it still there?
No, it's gone.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Flecknology, that's what it is. Flecknology.
Well, I wouldn't call it that.
Well, I would. But there you go. That's Fleck. What else is on? Oh, yeah, tomorrow is going to be the match preview with yourself and Abby. Can you give the viewers a hint at what's to come of that?
Yes. Obviously, Abby and her little Spurs mates have been all sure of themselves, giving it. This, to be fair, was actually more of a level-headed chat. She spoke about some of the concerns that she has about the game for her team. I did for us, and also the other points of why, respectively, we think we could do all right against each other, without giving too much away. But no, I think you guys will enjoy it. I saw a lot of people rattled in the comments, and actually, well, vice versa. With my Garnacho comments, I don't know if you can throw it to the people, the community, because in the heat of battle, protecting our players as much as I could against tapping Tobes.
Yeah, there was.
I just said. I was like, Garnacho's a world-class talent, and
that was it. Yeah.
I wasn't saying he.
World-class talent.
I said, and I wasn't saying like he's going to be world-class or he is world-class. His mentality could absolutely fail him. His ability might. I don't know. I'm just saying I think he can be a world-class talent potentially. That's it. But some people disagree. Some people are like, absolutely, he can. Look at his mentality. You're starting to see early signs. Some people see him as just a kid who's a bit rash and a bit of a bottle of fizzy pop. And he's actually not that good. It's just Man United are rubbish, and this kid's just doing all right. What do the people think?
Wow, according to the comments, they disagree a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was the thing yesterday. But I think, Flex, you can never win. Whenever you do those combined 11s or your previews, you're either too nice or you're deluded. So.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was being tribal. What really triggered me, and I can say it in our safe space, he just called him like he's just crap, like he's just mid. He can't do nothing. Like, I just didn't like it, so I went into KG mode. So yeah, on a more calm one, would I a world-class talent? Probably not. But I'm in the heat of the battle, mate. I mean, come on, guys, like just go with it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Go do it.
I mean, I'm not going to let him come into our. I'm not going to let Tapping Toes come into our UV community. Yeah, Spurs are doing all right, and Ange Ball, and we don't know our style of play and all that shit. But like they say, mate, you don't air your dirty laundry in public. You don't come into our house and get to come into my studio and say, this player's crap, this player's this player, he's mid, he's that. You're fucking Spurs. You're Spurs. Sorry, I'm getting angry again. You're Spurs, mate. You know what I mean? You're Spurs. Remember, you're Spurs. And that's why I was in that bag. I'm not letting. I don't care. Go on the Big Six, say all the stuff. Cuss me out on thing. You are not coming in my studio and I let you just wax lyrical. You are Spurs. And that's whether you win, lose or draw against us. I don't care. You're still Spurs. Remember you're Spurs.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect. Right, I'll leave you guys to it.
Yeah. Big up, Flex.
Sorry to swear. Hopefully we're going to get demonetized.
Well, it's all right. It's your channel, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll speak to you in a bit.
All right, peace.
There you go. A little run-in by Fleckington as well there. You never know what you're going to get with these press conference shows. They can be really all over the place, to be honest. You get Flex cooking popcorn. I like the idea of him sitting over a campfire with marshmallow on a stick, like that, going, yeah, I just think, with Garnacho, maybe I was wrong to say he's a world-class talent. I don't know, just don't come in my studio, it's burnt. There you go. I can't even remember where I'm at the moment. How many likes am I currently at the moment? I forgot about that. We're currently at just 100. 100. We can do more. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. What was the next question? Oh, yes. The next question was about Spurs and about the challenge of facing them. Here's what Ten Hag had to say. He said, definitely different. So I think they complement the way they played. He changed the environment there in terms of Ange Postecoglou. They're really proactive, very enjoyable to watch. Them with a lot of dynamics, very proactive. They combine it with good results, but also when we played them over there, and I think that's what we can take belief out of that. In the first 35 minutes, we dominated them. We should have gone in the lead, but we didn't. So we have to make our own luck and take control of the game and finish the chances. And do you know what? He's not wrong when it comes to that, because that Spurs game feels so long ago, because what was it, second game of the season? I think it was. And when you do go back to it, like the first, 30, 40 minutes, we were all over them in that game. We should have at least been 1 or 2 up. Bruno Fernandez misses an absolute sitter. I mean, a sitter. What was it, like 6 yards out? Misses it, ball into the box. We had chances. Marcus Rashford had an opportunity, I think, as well. I think Garnacho had a chance too. We were unlucky in the second half not to get a penalty. A couple of penalties. Was a handball in the first half or the second half? I forget. But that game could have been completely different. So I think there's been this sort of weird mystique put around Spurs, to be honest with you. And this isn't to say that they're not good or they haven't played well this season, because they have. I'm not disputing that. I pushed back a lot earlier on in the season, and I'm glad that I did, because there was a period of time where, oh my God, you would have thought Spurs had already picked up the trophy and won the league. The way that people were talking about them, and the way the media was talking about Ange, and the way that Spurs fans were going on, I understand they were top of the league, but they were insufferable. We're so great, top of the league, mind the gap and all that kind of stuff. They're 5th now, and that's more sort of Spursy, isn't it, to be honest with you? So there's this sort of thing that you can't get them. You can absolutely get them. They've got injuries. They've got players missing. They play a high line. They've got a very good goalkeeper in Vicario. I like him a lot. But I genuinely do think we've got a chance at the weekend. I think actually the game suits us perfectly. If it was a team playing a low block, or a team playing, that was I don't know, like if you're playing like a City or Liverpool or something like that, I'd be like, it's going to be a bit of a long game for us. But with Spurs, a bit like when we played Villa, I think they just play the high line. That's just what they do. So I think, again, United will just, as long as you can stay on side, which we didn't do very well against Villa, I think the game's there for us. I really do. But hopefully that it goes that way for us. Anyway, more questions, because I'm rapidly running out of time. The next question was to Ten Hag about what we can achieve in the second half of the season. Now that the players are back, then after that there's a mini break before the FA Cup game. How much does it affect the result of what you want to achieve on Monday? Basically saying, do you want to go into this break by having a good result? Ten Hag said, Sunday's most important, and I don't look further than that. In the background, I organise, prepare for the second half of the season, and make the best programme for all the players. We have a group of players who make the last step into match fitness. If they need a different programme to the players with a tough program in 2023, it will be a different approach in the coming weeks going up to the next FA Cup round. So basically, he takes it game by game. I mean, this is when the press conferences can be just a little bit dry, to be honest with you. So yes, he's taking it game by game. Next question was about the defence and how there's been 10 different centre-back combinations this season. Ten Hag was asked, how important is it to have a settled back four? Ten Hag said the following. He said, what you actually want is a team that is stable, so it doesn't matter that you have to swap one player from the other game, but not two. So many swaps as we're forced to in the last year. Previously, over my total, here, we didn't have the option so often to play a fit squad that you can pick the team. That depends on the approach you want to take to the game. And he also reiterated that during his time at United, once again, he's basically never been able to play his strongest 11 because he's always had injuries and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, as I've said, once you get your better players back, you would hope you would play better. The injuries thing, I don't lean on to it too much, as long as other people don't, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is that you've seen the difference in the way injuries have been covered, I think, team by team. There are certain teams that the media are happy to use injuries as an excuse for, and then there are other teams which they're not. Manchester United this season, we've been decimated by injuries. Are we the only team that's been decimated by injury? No, no, we haven't. Newcastle have had a lot of injuries. Liverpool have had injuries. Arsenal have had injuries. Even City to an extent, not as many as us, I don't think. But a lot of teams have had injuries. A lot of top teams have had injuries. And they all try and find their way of getting around them. So I don't like to use injuries as an excuse, because some of the games, I don't think it's necessarily just been a personnel issue. It's been an application issue as well. So, as I mentioned, so many of the top teams have had injuries this season, but you would hope with these significant players coming back that we would perform well. But it's also not only just getting those players back in, but it's keeping everyone fit too. Because so many times this season, when we have waves of players come back, suddenly more players drop out, more players get injured. So hopefully, that isn't the case for the second half of the season. Let's talk about Antony. He was asked about Antony, saying Antony, of course, is a player you know well. Big price tag, but so far this season, no goals, no assists in 16 Premier League games, I think it is. Are you surprised by that? Why has he struggled to adapt? Can you understand why fans are losing patience with him? Ten Hag said the following. He said, I can explain. I think it's very simple. His off-field issues stop him playing. First year was okay. The pre-season was very okay. First 4 games was very good. I've seen the game against Spurs back and he played a very good game. But from that moment, he was out. Then he came back and didn't deliver the performance you should expect from him. And he can do so much better. He also said, you mentioned Ajax, I look back there, his effectiveness and product was higher, and also Champions League very high. He's capable of doing this, key actions, key passes, the crosses, the finishing, it's very high and should return to that level, but the Premier League is more difficult and he's capable of doing that. It has an effect and impact on him, definitely, so he has to deal with that. He caused them, this is regards to his off-the-field issues. He has to sort them out, but he has to do better. That sort of last part where it says it did have an impact on him was basically saying that he is still troubled by those off-the-field issues. I did find it quite curious that he says, he caused them, so he has to do better. So he has to sort them, rather. But he suggested that Antony can still come good. I kind of dispute some of those, dispute some of the things he was saying. When he was saying first season okay, I suppose if you're being generous last season with Antony, you can say okay. I mean, what was the biggest goal he scored against Barcelona? Apart from that, he scored goals in big games. Were they critical goals? He scored that goal against Arsenal on his debut. The goal against City really had no pressure on it because we were 4-0 down by that point, to be honest with you. But then when you look at pre-season, he said was very okay. And then when he said the sort of start to the season was very good, I thought, am I recalling this differently, the start to the season, that he was very good? Because I just thought it was the same, to be honest with you. There is no disputing Antony is not an £85 million player. I don't think it's a stretch to say he will never be an £85 million player. Do you know, he's probably the player the most, when I talk to sort of non-United fans that are friends of mine, they always bring him up first. They say, Antony, what on earth was going on with that signing? £85 million. And you can't defend it. There's nothing to defend when it comes to Antony. He is not an £85 million player. We're still actively looking for a right-sided player because he's just not that. When we scouted him, was it 2 years prior under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they rated him as 20 million quid. And that's accurate. He's a sort of 20 to 30 million pound player. And if he was 30 million quid, we'd still be saying, he's not been doing enough. He's not been doing enough to play for Man United, let alone £85 million on 200k a week. He's just not that. And I understand that the work rate back is good. That's great. But when you're the right winger, it's about so much more. So much more than that. And even last season, when some of this off the field stuff wasn't going on, I haven't seen anything from him to make me think, right, that's what he could be consistently. I just haven't seen that from him. I can maybe count on one hand the amount of times I've seen him sort of beat someone with pace, try and go around the outside of him. It's always cut inside. It's always slowing the play down. It's very difficult to play in the counter attack with him because he always cuts inside and slows down, waits for people to catch up with him. It's just I just don't see it. I just don't see it with him, and I really hope I'm wrong, and I really hope that he turns it around and we're kind of stuck with him in that aspect, but. I just really don't see that. And even Ten Hag, he talks about last season's signings in just a second, and even he couldn't sort of say that it was a signing that worked as well. Ninth Earth says, Owen, you already made your mind up with Antony, so your analysis on him won't be fair. But this is just opinion, and I think just because you've come to a conclusion on a player, I don't think that means you ignore his positives. I just said his work rate back's good. But, I mean, after being here for, 18 months, I think most people have a pretty good analysis of where he's at. And I don't think many are going to be that positive, particularly when you factor in the price tag and when you factor in the wage that he's on as well. And I would argue, myself, I can only speak for myself, I like to think I try and keep an open mind on most players, and I'm willing to see people turn it around. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And even last season, again, end product wasn't really there. And you'd hope that this season would be the season that he kicked on. Granted, there has been a lot going on around him this season. But, I mean, even early on, there were those people going, I tell you what, his end product's got to get a lot better, and he's got to adapt. And that's one of those big signings that people are always going to look at and go, that's just not worked out. It's not, so... Yep, I don't. Even Ten Hag, when he's got to talk about Antony, he's not going to be in the press and be like, yeah. I mean, he's acknowledging that he has to do better, but yeah, not good. This was an interesting sort of line of questioning. Was about money spent on players at Manchester United. So the question was put to Erik ten Hag that the club had signed 13 players for more than 50 million and rattled off a load of names, not just under Ten Hag, under several previous managers. Now, some of them were still in their early days, but the question was put to Ten Hag, why have so few failed to deliver the price tag and deliver on the expectations on them coming in? How important that players brought in for big money justify the money that's been spent on them. And Ten Hag said, what I can say is playing for Manchester United is so much different than any other club, so much more difficult for Man United than you do for another club. You need strong character for high expectations. If the price is too high, expectations will rise even more. You need even more strong characters. This is the best club you want to play for. This is the best challenge. I would go for that challenge if I was a player and that opportunity came up. It's so much easier. He said, I don't want to name names or clubs, but it's so much easier to perform at a lot of clubs in comparison to Manchester United. And to be fair, I think he is spot on when it comes to that. Now, we also know the real reason why a lot of these players have failed when they've been brought in for big money is because our recruitment at Manchester United is shit. He's not going to say that in a press conference. He's not going to be like, well, the people above me don't have a clue at what they're doing. And every single time we're in any kind of negotiations, we get our pants firmly pulled down and then waddle away with them round our ankles going, here, have some more cash. Here's, how much do you want for it, this player? 40 million. We'll give you 80. There you go. How much is he actually worth? 20. It doesn't matter. We're still giving you 80. How much wage do you want? Well, I'm currently on about 20. We'll give you 200. That's what we do in negotiations. So that's primarily the reason, is because people that have been in charge of that kind of stuff aren't fit to be in that position. They have no idea what they're doing. They're the worst negotiators. I mean, just look at our transfer window last summer. What a farce. I mean, really, KJ and myself spoke about it this morning. Johnny Evans has been our best signing. Can you imagine that? In the summer we just had, of all the players we got, what player has delivered the most for us in terms of value for money and just in general, it's Johnny Evans. That is crazy shit. That is madness. Absolute madness. Now, he's not wrong by, talking about that, saying some of the players, when they've come in, they just can't handle it. And I think that is fair too. Manchester United, we've spoken about it so many times, and Ten Hag knows this too. If he didn't know coming in the door, he certainly knows now. At Man United, in comparison to any other club, you are held to a different standard. The media and everyone are looking for the shortest amount. You can get away with, average performances or just being average. But arguably, this is the crazy thing. I was about to say you can get away with being average at a lot of clubs, not United. But you can. That's part of the problem. Because we've been average for ages. We've been average. And we've been giving average players massive contracts. But again, it circles back to recruitment. Because during those negotiations, we've said, here you go, here's a load of money. And when time comes to sell, we go, actually, this player isn't that good. We go, well, we can't sell him. Why? Because nobody will touch them because they're on these giant wages and they were brought in for all of this money. So we've got to make it work, basically. We spent this amount. We've got to try and find a way of making it work. And if we do decide that it's not going to work, nobody will pick them up. Why? Because their contract's so big. And every single time we even offer them to a club, they laugh at us and they say, you offered them what? You gave them what? Well, if we're going to pick them up and we're going to bring them over, you're still going to have to contribute to their contract. Because, by the way, that's signed. And if you're a player, I don't even necessarily blame the player. If I know that I'm on a wage of 20k a week and I'm in negotiations, go to Man United, dream come true, and they go, we'll offer you 200. What are you supposed to say? No, I'm not as good as that. I can't give 200k a week. Are you taking the mic? No, I'll give it you back. Of course you're going to say yes. So it's just, it's madness. So that's part of the reason as to why. Now, the follow-up question to that was saying, well, when you look at City, they've had a similar amount of players for more than 50 million, and a lot of those players have delivered. Is it an identification issue? And this is what Ten Hag said about last season's signings. He said, don't forget, last season, everyone was saying how great Manchester United's signing were. Martinez, Eriksen, and Malacia, Casemiro. Brilliant last season. We have to find a way to perform as a team, and then we'll judge them differently. Now, what was quite funny, actually, about that quote when he was asked about that is it kind of sort of describes how people were describing those signings last season. So he said, I know everything is very highlighted, but remember last season everyone was saying how great our signings were. Leacher, Eriksen, Malacia, very smart. And then he went, Antony was doing okay. So I was like, so when he said that, I went, even you, Eric, even you, and you've been known to tell a fib or two when it comes to these press conferences, even you couldn't be like, Antony, great signing, or Antony, value for money. He went, Antony was doing okay. he went, Casemiro, brilliant. Everyone was saying we judged them in the moment. So he sort of says that it's not necessarily an identification issue because last season people were saying how great the signings were. And look, he's not totally wrong. I don't think people would dispute that Alessandro Martinez wasn't a good signing. Martinez was a good signing. The problem is it's a rarity. And people looked at Christian Eriksen and said good signing because he's a free transfer. It's not a huge outlay. I mean, free transfers, you have money when it comes to signing on fee and loyalty bonuses and agent fees and wages. Malacia, people were happy with that because it wasn't a lot of money. So, you do get judged differently. The Casemiro one, he did great for us last season, but there even were still people at the time last season that said, you do realise like in a year's time or 2 years' time, that's going to be a bit of a problem because he's on a long contract and he's on big wages and things change very quickly. And I'm not sure what the long-term sort of planning is of that one. And I think everyone said at the time with Antony, that's a lot of money. That's a lot. That's a lot of cash that's going to come back to bite you. But we were desperate. And desperate clubs do desperate things, i.e. pay 100 million euros for a player that isn't worth it and give him a big contract. And even Ten Hag in that press conference Antony was doing okay. I mean, did lead judges. Antony done okay. So I was like, oh God, he couldn't even say it. In it, I was like, oh my God, Eric. Finally, he was asked about Anthony Martial. It was Sammy Lucas actually asked him. So, Martial, is he okay? He's been out with an illness. Is he back anytime soon? Some have said he's trying to dodge a transfer. He actually said that in the question. I was surprised he got away with that. Basically, like he's calling, he's got his phone and he's been calling, doing a sickie every day. Been like, I can't come in. Why? I'm ill. When to? End of Jan. When's the window close? Well, end of January. I'm ill till then. I was like, did you say that in the questions, Samuel Luckhurst? But here's what Ten Hag had to say, and it was quite interesting actually about Anthony Martial. He said he's not fit. We want the players to be fit, and in this moment, he is not. We have to make him fit. It's his job as well. Channeling his inner Roy Keane. It's his job as well. So he's not fit. We don't really have any extra details as to, is he still ill? Is he injured again? I don't know. But one thing's for sure, Anthony Martial's not leaving in January anyway. I didn't put too much stock in that he would, to be honest with you. When that story came out a few days ago, he's going to go on loan to Turkey. I went, that makes no sense. Why would he go on, unless he's really desperate to play football? I mean, there was that story saying he wants to get into the France team for the Euros. I don't know how much sort of stock I put in that. I think he's just going to sit on his contract. 250k a week. And I know if he went out on loan, that would still be subsidised. He would still get that. But particularly a permanent deal, I don't see it. And I remember when Phil Jones was being linked to moves away from United. I think Bordeaux were interested and he turned it down. Because some players know. They're like, I've got this time left on my deal. I'm just going to sit it out to the end of the season and reassess things. And again, that's on the club too. That's their fault. So Martial not going anywhere, but doesn't look like he's fit, which would lean into get a striker then. We need a striker in January. I know that we don't have that much money, but possibly with these outgoings, Sancho, Hannibal, now Fernandez, Donny, you would think, is there enough there with the loan fees and the wages? Is there enough there really to sort of put together enough to get some kind of loan package together and get some kind of striker? Because we need options in that position. We can't just have Højlund. Marcus Rashford's not the answer through the middle. We need someone else. That's what we need, certainly. But there you go, guys. What a jam-packed show that was. We've had everything. We've had breaking transfer news. We've had clips. We've had a Fleck phone call with marshmallows over a campfire. I mean, this is why you always need to tune in for the press conference reaction, certainly. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. A reminder, 6 p.m. this evening, you're going to be getting the Fan Clash, KG versus Expressions. Then tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., you're going to be getting the match preview with Flex and Abby. On Sunday, it's match day. You'll be getting road trips, match views, fan views, player ratings, full-time views. If you're a member, you can call in, you can have your say as well. If you wish to join the members club, you can do so. Links in the video description. So also the pinned comment in the live chat. I'm going to close this poll now. We've had 555 votes, by the way. And the question was, who will start on Sunday? Martinez, Casemiro, both, or neither? And neither's leading the race, saying neither are going to be in the starting 11. They're both going to be on the bench. Interesting stuff. Anyway, guys, have a great Friday, and I'll speak to you again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.